Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of the Åland Islands. You can see it is technically part of Finland. It's a little complicated as the Åland Islands are autonomous. And of course, we're going to talk about why that is in its history. First of all, the pronunciation. This letter and its name does not exist in English, and I have tried very hard to pronounce it correctly and failed at it. So I'm just going to stick with the just general English pronunciation of Åland. But just note that that's not exactly how it sounds in Swedish, because yes, on these islands they speak Swedish. And I'm sure you're thinking, didn't ASMR Geographica just say that these islands are part of Finland? Why do they speak Swedish? We'll go over it in its history. But let's look at where these islands are located and how they are made up, because as you can even see from this little map, there are so many little islands and what they call skerries, basically just little uninhabited rocks in the waters here of the Baltic Sea. You can see the Baltic Sea is just down here. Up here we have the Gulf of Bothnia, and over here's the Gulf of Finland. So it's right in the middle of this kind of three-way seaway. Very important spot, right? It's right here at this link to the Baltic states and then Sweden and Finland. There are about 6,500 little islands and skerries over here. Only like less than 100, like around 60-ish, are actually inhabited, because most of them are very, very tiny. You wouldn't be able to fit a house on them. The capital city you can see right here is Mariehamn. And these islands are very characteristic of Baltic Nordic islands, in that once upon a time this area was completely covered in glaciers. And after the Ice Age, the last big Ice Age ended, they retreated up north, and as they melted and moved farther north, they just kind of scraped across the land, creating the landscape that we have in southern Finland, southern Sweden, and these islands here, making them very jagged. And you'll see on Google Earth. I'll pull out Google Earth after history, but you can definitely tell that these lands were once definitely covered in ice. It's how you get the fjords over in Norway also, but yeah. This is once all ice, no longer. People would have started to move in here about 7,000 years ago. Lots of little interesting early cultures here, but this would eventually become Viking land, and the Vikings would build various hill forts and bury their dead in this area here. Now, all of this at its height during like the Kalmar Union days was all Sweden. There was no Finland at this point. Well, not the Finland that we know today. It was Sweden. So this was all part of Sweden. Having Swedish culture, Swedish language, things like that. The Swedes built a really cool castle. I don't think it's on this map. It's about up here. Called Castleholm Castle. Very appropriately named. If I remember, I'll show you the ruins of it on Google Earth. That was like one of the big forts of the many different little fortified areas of the islands here. But this island chain wouldn't really be like super developed until after 1809. In 1809, Sweden and Russia were at war. Sweden lost pretty bad. Don't know if you know this about Swedish history, but they used to be like an incredibly warlike culture. They would fight anyone that looked at them wrong. So they fought Russia and lost, and Russia wound up absorbing a lot of its territory up here. Finnish culture was very much a thing at this point, obviously. So to recognize that, Russia named this area the Grand Duchy of Finland and incorporated the islands into it. But, these people here still spoke Swedish because the people who spoke Finnish were more, over here. Not so much over here. Because Sweden's literally right there, They're much closer to Sweden than Finland. And the Russians would come in and really start building, like I said, various forts and defenses against their various European enemies, which came in very handy during the Åland War, which lasted over here from 1854 to 1856. The Crimean War was going very strong. It was pretty much Russia against everyone else, the British, the French, the Ottomans. It was a big deal. So the British came in and started attacking the islands here, trying to get an upper hand and another front of the war. And like I said, that lasted for quite a bit. And thankfully, this was very well fortified. So, they weren't just like steamrolled by the British. There was quite a fight put up. But afterward, in 1856, at the end of the Crimean War, and the dust was settling and treaties were being drawn, part of the peacetime treaties was that Åland would be demilitarized. No military, no weapons, nothing like that. It would be just islands of peace, and they remained so to this day. Which, very handy considering right around the corners, World War I, and then definitely, World War II was kind of a big to-do up in the Nordic countries. Not so much as down in mainland Europe, obviously, but things were afoot up in Scandinavia. So, very helpful for the islands here that they could remain like super neutral and not have to deal with too much of the goings-on of World War II. But I'm getting ahead of myself again. We didn't talk about something very important that happened after World War I. So, in the hubbub of the 1910s, Russia collapsed, if you didn't know. The imperial government of Russia collapsed. The Bolsheviks took over the Russian Revolution. And during that chaos, Finland gained its independence. And they were like, oh cool, we're all Finland now. And the people here are like, hold on a second. We are very Swedish. We speak Swedish. We have Swedish customs, Swedish traditions. We are not Finnish, at all. We are very Swedish. We should not be part of Finland. So in 1919, there was a big movement to have these islands become part of Sweden. I think there was a whole referendum that they had that passed, and Finland said, yeah, no, you're part of Finland. And after World War I, the League of Nations was formed, which was the precursor to the United Nations, the first go-around of the United Nations. Their very, very first action in 1921 was to fix this problem with the Åland Islands. Should they be Swedish? Should they be Finnish? And the agreement was that these islands are Finnish, but they're going to be autonomous. They're going to technically be part of Finland, but they're going to have their own government and make their own rules and things. And Finland's just going to oversee it all. And the people here weren't too happy about it, but nowadays it's just kind of a shrug emoji. What can you do? It's just how it is. Don't bother us, and we'll be chill. It's just a chill little place where people just, live quiet, little, happy Scandinavian lives. And pretty much that is the history of the Åland Islands. Very unique little place. Let's check it out on Google Earth. Put that down carefully, pick this up carefully. Try not to make too much noise. I can't tell you how loud it's been in my apartment lately. My upstairs neighbors, I don't know if you can hear them, have been thumping around all day. My downstairs neighbors have been having like a huge gathering. It's still kind of going on, but it's quieting down. I've been going crazy just waiting for peace and quiet so I can film. What can you do? The ASMR life, right? So here you can really see just how many little dots of land make up the Åland Islands. It's very excessive, isn't it? It's a lot of place. I like that there's this sharp line here where the islands of Finland begin. And there's the islands of Åland. But let's zoom out so you can see exactly where we are. If you're not really sure what I'm talking about, Scandinavia and the Nordic countries, here we are in Europe, right? The Åland Islands are here. There's Finland, Sweden, then the rest of mainland Europe, all down here. The right smack dab right there. So let's check out the capital city of Mariehamn. Let's check out the slideshow real quick. Not a very big one. Look at this old little church and graveyard here. How cool is that? Lots of cruise ships stopping by. And little boats and sailboats as well. You kind of have to have those when you're living in this kind of environment with all these islands. So here's Mariehamn. I want to show you a couple places in Mariehamn. Of course, we have to start with the Kulturhistoriska Museum. I'm sure I pronounced everything wrong. It's also the art museum too, so you'll see some cool modern art along with neat little displays like life in the 20th century. Very neatly laid out museum. There's a pretty wolf. Here is a Tsaritsa, Maria Alexandrovna, who Mariehamn is named after her. Oh, big old deer. Very cool art piece of this wolf. Lots of old artifacts. Looks like kind of like an old apothecary shop. Beautiful gardens. This place is very green. That's my conclusion after playing around on Google Earth, is just how green the landscape is here. Really cool modern art. A very devious looking bird here. An old penny farthing. Old boats. Lots of old sea wreckage. There's some really cool maritime museums on in the islands too, but nothing really to show you on Google Earth. Very cool modern art here, right in the dog. So like I said, lots of cool museums and stuff, but the other one I want to show you is this one, the Palmern, which is this huge merchant ship built in 1903, which is now a museum. It's still very seaworthy, and you can go aboard it and see what life was like for sailors in the very, very early 1900s, just before the airplane age and steamships were a thing. How cool, right? Seeing the galley here, making potatoes, going down to the stern. What's it called at the bottom? There's the bathroom. How cool that you could take a little bath on your ship. Diagrams here, dioramas. This is the mess? No, what's it called on a ship? It's not the galley. Is it the galley? I guess it's part of the galley, isn't it? But you can also see that there's beds here. That's where they slept too. The hull, that's what it's called. I'm sure many people already left comments saying it's the hull of the ship. They keep all the supplies. And lots of the inner workings and tools they would need. Very, very cool museum. You get lots of green space. It's just very beautiful. And of course very eco-friendly as well. think down here, this is a good slideshow of kind of what the landscape looks like here. Very wet and green and lush and full of beautiful flowers, beautiful trees, little mossy rocks, places where fairies will kidnap you and take you to the fairy realm and you'll never be seen again. Places like that. Places that just kind of feel very magical and old, if you know what I mean. There's very few places in the world that have that energy still. Sweet cows. Old little homes. Sheepies, of course. How neat is this house just on the water? I wonder if I'm sure it's floating, right? There's docks to get to it. It's probably just a boathouse, like it's hollow on this side and that's where you park your boats. But like, how cool would it be to live in a house like that? Just like, oh my gosh. Oh. So cute. Here's an old looking Swedish midsummer pool. Very, very big part of summer festival cultures in the Nordic countries in Scandinavia. The thatch on this. This is definitely a boathouse. But yeah, very, very lovely area. And then you can just play in the islands here and be like, there's some old stuff. There's a cool lighthouse here. Very cool. Look at this. Google Earth caught a big old ship here coming in. How neat. That's gigantic. It's bigger than the islands around here. Tells you just how little these places are. Let's see if I can find the old castle. I think it was around here somewhere. Let's see. Castle home. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. I'm going to get lost. I'm going to get lost. Okay, let's look it up and see how far away it was. Oh, I was close. I was too far north. Castle home. So you can kind of see what a little village life is like in the Åland Islands. There's another cool midsummer pole there, all decorated in green. A wooden horse. And very old buildings, but let's find it. Look at this cool windmill. Wow. Here we go. This is what's left of the big old castle. I was reading that there was some really strange witch trials that happened in this town too. Kind of the craze in, the 1600s. Very, very beautiful. Look at the boats. Look at the birds. Look at the picnic. Oh my goodness, this looks delicious. Look at the rye bread and the grapes. Got your eggs, crackers. Looks delicious, probably for some holiday, judging by all the stars there. And of course your watermelon and pineapple. I love watermelon. I could eat that whole thing if I was allowed to. It's a big pole. My neighbor's upstairs. Sorry if you heard that. But yeah. Very quaint little place. I was looking all over trying to find other kind of cool things to show you. What's this? The Fotografiska Museum. Lots of museums around here. Whoa. This tree's made out of cameras. That's pretty cool. Whoa. That's amazing. What a strange place. Whoa, movie cameras. Beautiful. But yeah, anyway, I was looking around to try to show you other little cultural things and stuff, but there's not a lot on Google Earth to show you. So let's see what this is. Move to Kickstrom. Oh yeah, I looked at this. It's just an old tower, probably from war times. Probably. Let's see what that is. Scenic spot. Ooh, a big scary cave. Now there you're going to get kidnapped by the fairies and you're never going to be seen again for sure. I'd be very careful coming. Oh my goodness. Oh no. There's some old wood nymphs here. This is some fairyland for sure. Usually it's like, oh, fairies are beautiful, friendly little Tinkerbells, but I was taught growing up that no, they're not. You be careful around places like that. You'll get sucked in and you'll never be seen again. Dun, 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 dun. It's just, these are one of those very beautiful, wild, green places in the world. Very rare to find. What's the smart park? Probably just it's a theme park. Oh, fun. Little paddle boats. Look at, they're on the Viking Cruise Line. Oh, how fun. Oh, what a cool fort. Old windmills. How fun is that? The smart park. Anyway, I'm going to end it there. We could be looking at this all night, couldn't we? Finding little corners of the islands here. So I'm going to end it here. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. This is an ongoing series on my channel. Next, we're going to be heading to a completely different form of island. We're going to be going to Madagascar. So be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. I hope that you found this video relaxing and educational. And I hope that you have a good